Let's go, SDS. We got a bunch of news to come out of this press conference with Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. We heard from players. Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. I'm about to knock my whole setup over. I'm so excited. We've got quarterback updates. We've got contract extensions to talk about. You already know the vibes. Smash that like button. Drop a SDS in the chat. Let's react to everything that we just heard from the 49ers front office brass. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Let's go, SDS. How are we feeling today? I'm assuming that you guys were a part of that press conference. You heard what we got cooking. 49ers Brock Purdy back, cleared, ready to go. Oh boy, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has been cleared to play. He is ready to go. Can we get some? Can we just spam the chat with bread emojis or something, man? Because it feels great right now. No, we had so many concerns all year about the current status. Brock, where is he going to be at? All that stuff. And Brock Purdy is good to go. Shout out the Bread Game. Shout out the Gang. Kyle Shanahan in peak season form. Definitely representing for the Gang out here. But you love to see it. Look at all the bread emojis in the chat. Love to see it. Well, Chili says we got a fantasy league with 9 players and it's a 10-man league. You want to join? Me? Maybe. Potentially. But look at all those bread emojis in the chat. You love to see it. Oh, you can't see me because I just blocked my entire camera with my cell phone. All right. I want to do this right. Hold on one second. We're going to have to do a little bit of a dual stream. I got to figure this out. Look at all those bread emojis. Let's cook, baby. Let's cook. All right. I can make this work. All right. You guys see me? Yep. You could see me. We've got some fire news. All right. I'm going to get IG in here and we're going to make it a party. We're going to make it a party. We're going to bring the whole squad in. Let's go. Brock Purdy. Back in the mix. Oh, boy, you love to see it. We're going to go live. So bringing IG in. Once we bring IG in, we'll do a little reset, and then we'll cook today. So, again, let me just say it as we get IG in the mix here. For the biggest update, the update that we have been waiting for all summer. Brock Purdy, what is his status? Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch had let us know that Brock Purdy has been cleared. Let's go. I mean, what an offseason it has been. Was Brock going to be ready week 1? Remember Kyle Shanahan at the owners meeting talking about, well, maybe Brock will be ready week 1 through 4. And then that took us to a position of like, well, who's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 through 4? And that put us on a trek for a big portion of the offseason. But again, it was also John Lynch who did mention that he was optimistic that Brock Purdy would be ready for training camp. Brock Purdy is officially cleared for football activities. Brock Purdy is ready to go. that is one of the biggest pieces of news that came out. Trent TT wants to know about week 7. I don't know, TT. I think you're going to have to find out, my boy. But we do know that Brock Purdy ready to go week 1. Ooh, we're ready, TT. We're ready, baby. I'm super excited about it. Obviously, with all the situations going down, man, like it's just been a whirlwind of an off season. And if you guys on YouTube, I'm YouTube, I'm Instagram at the same time. If you don't know who TT is, 49ers legend Trent Taylor in the IG chat. He wants to know if Brock Purdy is going to be ready for week 7. I think Brock Purdy is going to be ready for week 7. Trent says Bengals coming to break some hearts. I know you remember the last time that we traveled to Cincinnati. I think it was actually us who broke the Bengals' heart, if I'm not mistaken, in that fire finish. When what was it? Brandon Ayuk scored that game-winning touchdown. I mean, what a wild game that was. But I'm looking forward to the rematch, TT. Definitely looking forward to it. But of course, like we talked about, Brock Purdy, all things considered. I mean, we were talking about at one point, like, is Brock ever going to play again? Like, we just didn't know. We didn't know what it was going to be. And right now, couldn't be any more excited about the entire situation, how it's playing out, how he's going to be able to be ready for training camp. They talked about a slow ramp up process. So we'll see. We'll see. But probably some of the better news that we could get right now. Yes, you're correct. Purdy will be on a pitch count. They will be able to ramp him up at his own pace. I don't think they're going to rush him at all. Trent says, "Nah, I really miss the gang, though." I mean, bro, we'll always have quality time. Quality time, you and George, and what you guys were able to do coming in as rookies, both 5th-round rookies. And all the fun that we had, bro. Trent Taylor is a 49ers legend for life. I don't even care. Argue with the wall if you disagree. We'll always have quality time. Shout out to Trent, though, dropping in. Good to see you, my boy. Excited to see you. Week 7, I think it is. But also, we got some news on Bosa. So obviously, we are waiting and we are seeing when Nick Bosa is going to get paid. And we know it's a question of when is he going to get paid, not if he's going to get paid. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're on the hunt for. We are waiting to see when Bosa gets the contract. I still believe Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, in league history. He's going to get somewhere in the range of like $33.5 million per year on average. And Nick Bosa is going to break the bank. We did find out that Nick Bosa won't practice until that contract is done. So that's fine. I have no problems with that. I think that's the absolute correct way to go. Do not step on the field. I'm speaking to Nick Bosa, that is. And of course, the 49ers. I think they're right in the same category. Don't step on the field unless Nick is paid. Got to pay Nick. When Nick is paid, he steps on the field. Fred Warner talked about it. He has zero concerns about Nick Bosa's conditioning, anything like that. He basically said, if there's anyone on this roster that I'm not worried about being in shape for training camp, it's Nick Bosa. So Nick Bosa is a machine. He has his own routine. He does things the Nick Bosa way, and it clearly works for him. So the 49ers players, they aren't worried about it. They aren't worried about it, worried about his health or his conditioning, anything like that. So right now, we're in a wait and see period with appreciate you buying the badge, my guy. We're just in a wait and see period with Nick Bosa. It'll happen. We did get an update on Darrell Luter Jr., the 5th-round rookie cornerback out of South Alabama. He did suffer a hyperextension. It sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like it was in OTAs or around OTAs. And he is expected to miss a couple more weeks and will remain on the PUP list. But he'll be able to be activated when he is healthy and ready to go. Kyle Shanahan did heap a bunch of praise onto Darrell Luter Jr., how excited they are for him and how smart he is as a young player. So a little bit of a setback for rookie cornerback Darrell Luter Jr. with a little bit of a hyperextension on the knee, but he should be fine. He'll be able to be back. I would assume by the end of training camp, somewhere around there. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be a serious thing. But that does open up the door for other guys in training camp, like Deshaun Jameson or some other guys that could sneak their way up the roster. So definitely looking forward to what training camp holds, what that will look like. 49ers Throwback with a super chat says, thanks for your show as always. Go Niners. Shout out to 49ers Throwback. Appreciate you always showing love to the channel. Always showing out and sharing our videos. Appreciate you, Throwback. Appreciate what you do for the community. Brockton loaded. Let's do this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brock is ready to go. We're ready to Brock and roll, baby. Great news. Probably some of the best news we could have asked for. And what's going to be really fun now to see at training camp is just see how these quarterbacks battle each other. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen. Again, the most cliche statement in all of sports, specifically football. But iron sharpens iron. All right. Iron sharpens iron. And we are in a really, really good spot right now with where the 49ers currently stand at quarterback. Again, all that conversation about who's going to be the quarterback doesn't matter, man. Listen to Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice said he believes the 49ers are going to win it all. I'm right there with Jerry. And again, we aren't looking at it. We're removing our bias as 49ers fans. Again, Jerry's a 49ers legend. He's always going to have the 49ers back. I'm a 49er fan, so I'm always going to root for the 49ers and want the best for the team. But we can objectively take a step back and we can look at the entire roster construction. We can look at the depth and we can understand that this team is primed and ready to go. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this team turns up and what they do this year, because the depth that they have, the premier talent that they have at key positions, and now a fully healthy quarterback room, with Brock, Trey, Sam, and Brandon. We got 4 options. Remember, Brandon Allen was the primary backup to Trent Taylor's quarterback, Joe Burrow, last year. And from what we've seen from him, he looks good to go. So I would say this was probably best case scenario updates from the 49ers today. In regards to being on, I mean, it's technically day 1 of training camp. But we get our first on-field practices tomorrow. So I'm excited. I'll be in Santa Clara tomorrow to see what we got cooking down there, what the practices are looking like. But, man, I am excited for what is in store for the rest of this offseason. Again, No real bad news. I don't think the kind of delay with Nick Bosa's contract extension is necessarily a bad thing. Um, 49ers always seemingly get the deal done. I mean, look at the Debo Samuel situation last year and, all the turmoil that went back and forth with that, but they were still able to get it done. So I still anticipate Brock. I got too many names on the brain. I do anticipate that Nick will get paid this year. I see someone asking about BA. I believe BA is playing on his rookie deal. BA will be looking to get paid next year. 49ers picked up his fifth-year option. They have that under their tool belt, but I do anticipate that Brandon Ayuk's going to try to get paid this next offseason. So we'll see how that all works out. Someone on Instagram asked me, what's my favorite positional battle? So it depends. I'm looking at positional battles in two different lenses. You have positional battles like quarterback versus quarterback, who's going to, win those jobs, tight end versus tight end. Or I also look at battles at training camp, offense versus defense, like Javon Hargrave versus Aaron Banks, Brandon Ayuk versus Charvarius Ward. Those to me, I also consider positional battles. But if we're talking about fighting for a starting spot, I would say the wide receiver battle for me is really interesting because I think the 49ers have a ton of talent at wide receiver and depth right now. You brought in guys like Chris Connolly. I think Tay Martin is going to take a step forward. I think Ronnie Bell has shown some promise. And the real question is, how many wide receivers are the 49ers keeping? Are they keeping 5? Are they keeping 6? That all depends. Tight ends. What does the tight end race look like? How many tight ends are they going to keep? You look at like TDP versus undrafted free agent Callan Laybourne. That's a battle that I'm interested to see. Can TDP keep the young UDFA off his behind and earn that roster spot? I think he definitely has the opportunity to. Other position battles, linebacker. Linebacker's crazy. Linebacker is really, really crazy. Again, I did my 53-man way too early roster prediction. I ended up having to trade someone just because there's too many good linebackers right now. We have like we could definitely roster 6 linebackers easily that deserve to be on an NFL roster. But we gotta. It all comes down to a numbers game. Is what do the numbers look like? So another positional battle, back end of the cornerback room. Who's going to round out that room? Obviously, defensive line, back end of the defensive line. Who's going to round out that room? Offensive line depth. Who's going to round out that room? This is a great season right now in regards to depth and overall talent. Like we talk about the 49ers all the time and their high-end roster guys that are locking it down. And, I think the PFF did their top 50 and the 49ers had the most top 50 players with 6. So we know that the 49ers are stacked at the top. We know Trent Williams, George Kittle, CMC, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, Javon Hargrave, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead. Like the list goes on and on and on of top tier talent. But one of the best things about this roster is the back end depth. The guys that are fighting for those fringe roster spots right now. There's a lot of talent there. The 49ers are going to have to cut guys. They're going to have to cut guys that are definitely worthy of being on a 53-man roster. So that's the hardest thing that I think the 49ers have ahead of themselves heading into training camp. It's not that are the 49ers good enough? No. The 49ers are good enough. The 49ers are absolutely one of, if not the top rosters in the NFL. The thing that we're worried about now that we got the quarterback stuff kind of cleared up a little bit, we know Brock Purdy will be back and in the mix. Now it's time to focus on how do we build this roster to compete in a 17 game season and hopefully turn that into uh, in the range of 20 games this year, meaning they make it through the playoffs, deep into the playoffs, and they also have an ability to compete for a Super Bowl. Charlene says, "Did anyone catch the punter injury back or something?" Yeah, I think John Lynch opened up the press conference with that, but when the 49ers started the live stream, that was cut off. So I did see something from one of the beat reporters mentioning that Mitch Wishnowsky is dealing with a little bit of something, but again, we quickly transitioned into uh Brock and his status, so we kind of flew right over. Okay, so I'm catching up on it right now. Mitch Wishnowsky will start camp on the NFI list due to a back injury from lifting weights. So yes, he will be on the non-football injury list. And so again, I I'm seeing from Matt Mayoko right now that I'm trying to see it's not considered a long-term injury. So it's TBD on what the 49ers are going to do. Are they going to bring in a punter for a short-term basis? I think that's something to monitor in regards to potential future roster transactions. Um, but it does sound like Mitch did tweak his back, will be placed on the NFI list, and could miss some time, but it isn't considered to be a serious injury. So, good news, I guess, that it's not a serious injury. Obviously, tough to see Mitch get hurt in a workout, but again, uh, it doesn't appear to be serious. So, I guess that's a good thing. Um, Let's see. Justin, appreciate the super chat. Justin says, "Do you think we could possibly see some running back and linebacker trades?" Absolutely. And it's not because I want to trade guys. It's because the 49ers have so much talent. And when you have that talent, you want to get a return on the guy on your assets, on your piece with your pieces. Your players are your assets. So when you look at the linebacker room, you look at the immense talent that they have. A guy like Marcelino McCrary Ball, who didn't make the roster last year, absolutely has an opportunity to make the roster, which is going to squeeze someone. It's going to, I mean, the 49ers spent draft capital on D. Winters and Jalen Graham. They re signed Demetrius Flanagan Fowles on a 1 year deal, and who's been a great piece to this team. He's been a phenomenal special teamer. He's definitely stepped in spots. So the 49ers have so much depth. And when you look at linebacker, absolutely could see a trade. I I projected that they would trade a linebacker because they have too much talent, and we've seen them do it in the past with Jonas Griffith, sending him to the Denver Broncos for I think it was like a conditional sixth, and Griffith has turned into a starting linebacker in this league. It was a trade at the time that I didn't love because I thought so highly of Griffith that I was really upset to see the 49ers trade him. I believe that was in a time where they opted to keep Marcel Harris, who was a converted safety to linebacker. And with that whole situation playing out, I understood the logic. They had a logjam at the position. They needed to move off and get some value, and they got value. They were able to get him traded to Denver. They had a conditional pick in place, and based on the amount of snaps that he played, they ultimately got a 6th-round draft pick in return, and he was an undrafted free agent. So they turned an undrafted free agent into value. So you can't be too upset at that mold. And I do anticipate that that could be in play again for the 49ers linebackers and running backs. Maybe. I don't know. I think the 49ers are going to feel really comfortable with going into this year with Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, and Ty Davis Price. What is going to be interesting to see is if Ty Davis Price can hold off the undrafted free agent rookie out of Marshall, Laybourne. That's going to be one of the things to watch in camp. But do they trade a running back? Maybe. We've seen the 49ers flip running backs before in the past. Just last year, they traded for a running back, and then they traded Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins for a 5th-round draft pick. So we've seen it before. They traded Matt Breida for a 5th-round draft pick. They've definitely shown that they are willing to trade running backs. It's going to be very interesting, though, to see if that ultimately happens. I would say it's more likely right now with the linebackers. I would say going into this year, I would project that Laybourne could definitely be a practice squad guy. But again, if he has a Jordan Mason type training camp, that's going to be the difference, right? And we've seen before, if you come into training camp and you ball out like Jordan Mason, you can absolutely squeeze guys for a spot. So that's now that's now going to be one of the main storylines, in my opinion, heading into training camp is what are these fringe spots looking like? Because those are going to be very sought after spots, and there is talent at the back half of the roster. And the 49ers are going to have to make a really hard decision trying to discern who to keep, who to let go, and who to potentially trade. So that's what makes this training camp now. I think that we can kind of move past the quarterback questions. Like the big thing was Brock Purdy's health. Brock Purdy, by all accounts, has healed really nicely. He is ahead of schedule. He's cleared for football activities. He'll, of course, be on a ramp up schedule, but by all accounts, they are ramping him up to be full speed prior to week 1. Brock Purdy will have all of training camp to be able to get acclimated, get behind center again, be able to get back in that groove of throwing against. And this is the really, really cool thing, I think, about the 49ers quarterback position is that all four, we cannot forget about Brandon Allen, but all 4 of these quarterbacks are going to be able to practice day in and day out against arguably the best defense in the league. And that's just me trying to be objective. Not so objective. They get to practice against the best defense in the league. So all these guys are going to have an opportunity to get better. They're going to have an opportunity to get tested by the best. I'm looking forward to it. This camp's going to be fun. O-line versus D-line. Fred Warner's not going to let anything slide. You have Brandon Ayuk out here chirping the 49ers defense. Football's back, man. We're ready. This group of men, it feels like they have been going through the same things. Not obviously from a different perspective because we're fans, but they get asked a ton of the same questions all the time. And it's going on a couple years now. And you just get the sense that this this group, this core of Kittles, Freds, now you add CMC, Debo, Trent, you look at the core group and you know that the sense of urgency right now is at an all-time high. Also, not only the sense of urgency, but I think the sense of belief. I think these guys know that they're a Super Bowl caliber team because let's face it, they've been to the NFC Championship game the last 3 of the 4 years that they've been trying to get to there, and they know they've been this close. They know what they are. They know that they are worthy of winning a Super Bowl. And I think just these past couple years of being so close, the sense of urgency met with the sense of belief at the same time is just going to propel them to run through every single person that you put in front of them. I really think the combination of offseason noise, the combination of missing out on the ultimate prize, and you have so many players in that kind of elite category right now with a ton of quality depth. How can you not think that these guys are going to run through everyone? I feel like there's going to be a different mentality. I mean, look at Debo, for example. Look at how focused, locked in Debo Samuel is. I mean, apparently Debo Samuel uh, has been sending Kyle Shanahan nonstop pictures with the shirt off because Debo Samuel might be in the best shape of his entire career right now. Not only is he in the best shape, but Debo is motivated. Like you can sense it. Like you can feel that Debo is ready to run through someone's face day in and day out. And he's just waiting for that opportunity. That type of energy is going to permeate throughout the entire roster. But it's not just Debo who's like that. I think it's like Fred's like that. Kittle's like that. Like these guys are ready to go. Um, this has been, again, it's been one of the craziest off seasons. I've been independently covering the 49ers since really 2018, since the beginning of 2018. This offseason has been wild from the storylines and the consistent like questions that are asked to these players over and over and over again. I really think that out of all these years, like this time right now, moving on to the season couldn't be more welcomed to be able to get back, focus on football, focus what's on front of these guys, focusing on the number one goal, which is, of course, winning a Super Bowl. Um, I think this is a fun time right now to be a 49er fan. Tia says, do you think Trey should ask to be released or traded? No, I don't think he should ask to be released or traded. I think for Trey, again, I think it's important to remember that I'm old now. So it's important to remember I don't want to call him a kid because he's not a kid, but he's young. He's still young by NFL standards. You get old really quickly in the NFL. And even by NFL standards, Trey Lance is still young. I don't think at all that Trey should ask to be released or to be traded. I think what's best for Trey this year is to go into training camp and compete. Do what football players do, which is compete. Compete. Now, they might say, well, Brock has done enough to earn it, done enough to earn the starting job. That's fine. but that doesn't mean you still can't come in and compete. And you have an opportunity to continue to improve every single day, play against the best defense, and wait for your opportunity. You never know. We know this team, its biggest issue, I would say, over the last 4 years has been, or 6 years even, has been health. The thing that they've battled the most is the training room. That's what they battle the most. If this team can stay healthy and stay ready, the 49ers are going to be good to go. And we never know. You never know what's going to happen. So just be ready. Prepare yourself for the opportunity. And when the opportunity comes, take advantage of it. I don't think that Trey should ask to be released. I don't think that would be a good idea for Trey. I think Trey could find value right now in competing, in continuing to improve, and just continuing to work on his craft, go against the best defense in the NFL. I think Trey's in a good spot, man. It's not ideal. Obviously, Trey probably wants to be starting. He wants to be that guy, and I understand. I get it. It's kind of cliche as well to say it's kind of a good problem for the 49ers. Brock Purdy's healthy. Trey Lance is healthy. Trey Lance has been working his tail off all offseason. Kyle Shanahan talked about Trey looking really good. Mentioned his feet, which was funny because Kai Visuals this weekend, I think, put out a pretty extensive video on Trey Lance throwing, and it was the most we've seen Trey Lance throw all offseason. And one of the things that was really apparent is his feet looked really fluid in and out of his hitch steps. It wasn't busy, and what I took away from what I saw from Trey is it looked natural. It didn't look forced. It didn't look like he was trying to connect his brain to his feet, and you can get clunky sometimes doing that. But really, what it looked like with Trey was that he looked fluid. It looked effortless. It looked like it's not just him trying to force something. He's done it. He's repped it enough times that appears to be how he throws right now. And the next step in that maturation process is, how does it look in live reps? How does that look against a defense? What does that look like when a pocket collapses on top of you? That's the next measuring stick in this process. And if Trey can continue that improvement, Trey right now can chill a little bit. I think the pressure of the world has been on Trey's shoulders. I think with Brock, with Sam, and Brandon Allen, I'm not saying chill, sit back, and whatever. You still got to go out there and compete, but chill in the sense of putting the weight of the world on your shoulders. You know, being the number third overall draft pick. All the fans always talk about what was traded to get him. Just erase that. Get rid of it, remove it, and just go out and get back to just playing ball. I think that will be the best thing possible for Trey Lance, is to get just whatever, man. It hasn't been the most ideal situation to start your career, but your career also isn't over. Technically, his career is still just getting started. I think he was younger than 80% of the quarterbacks that entered the league through the draft this year. He's still really young, and who knows? You've seen, everyone has a different path, everyone has a different maturation process, and you never know when it's going to click. You never know. You never know. And so, a guy like Trey, with his skill set, with his mental makeup, and what he has going for him, he's not a guy that you should want to count out. It might not be happening as fast that he wants to have it. Maybe you want to have it, but that doesn't mean he cannot get there. It just might take a little bit longer. And to kind of have this room that he's in, I think it could potentially benefit him in the long run. So yeah, I don't think Trey should ask for his release. Um, I don't think that would be good on his part. Um, but I think Trey is ready to compete, and that's what I'm looking for. Justin, appreciate the super chat, my boy. He says, as much as I hope Drake Jackson balls out, is there a chance we see Kalia Davis next to Hargrave and Eric Armstead kick outside? Oh yeah, baby. I've been leading the charge for the Eric Armstead on the edge conspiracy theories, just because of how lean he looks. Again, you go back and I did the research, man, and I didn't even realize it myself. But Eric Armstead had 11 sacks in 2019. A lot of his production came from playing outside. I've always been a guy that's like, I think Eric should play interior defensive line. I think that's where he's a mismatch against guards. So I've always felt like that's where he would thrive the most. And we saw him have a ton of success in that role. But Javon Hargrave is the key piece to this entire defense, in my opinion, because Javon is going to allow Chris Kosarek to be able to just play chess with all these different pieces. Obviously, you've got Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is always going to be on the edge for the most part, but Eric Armstead has the ability to go all over the place. And that is a big time positive for the defense. So, could Kalia Davis absolutely play on that interior spot? For sure, next to Hargrave. But I could also see Cleveland Furl playing on the interior um, next to Javon. I could see Kinlaw. I can even see Drake Jackson playing some three tech. I can see multiple different scenarios where you basically have Javon just anchoring down right over the center, and then you just mix everyone else around him. And that is going to be the biggest thing that I think unlocks the entire defensive line for the San Francisco 49ers, man. I'm super excited to see what this defensive line looks like. I really am. I really, really am. I think there's multiple guys who could find success when it comes to playing defensive line. So, but Kalia Davis is a guy uh, that I'm interested in because we didn't really get to see him at all last year. I mean, we didn't. We didn't get to see him at training camp. It was a redshirt year for him, so this will be our first kind of exposure to Kalia Davis and what he could provide. And if he can provide that DJ Jones style of play, smaller, squatty bodies that are strong and have really good first step quickness, that is really hard to counter when you play center, when you play guard, and these defensive tackles are in your hip pocket before you even get your first step off. So if Kalia Davis can be that, then absolutely we could definitely see more of him. But I really do think the 49ers defensive line, I mean, you look at Kevin Givens, you look at Kerry Hyder's positional versatility. Um, it's going to be fascinating to see what that group ultimately looks like next year. And I'm really looking forward to getting out there to training camp. I mean, obviously the 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 best days are going to be when the pads come on. And that's when you're really going to be able to get a good look at these guys and who's going to be able to do what. But when those pads come on, man, it's going to be get your popcorn ready to go. It's going to be wild. Those matchups in the trenches are going to be must see TV. The matchups on the outside are going to be must see TV. The whole thing, all of it is going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch. I really, really can't wait um, to see it all. I see some people asking me questions on Instagram. I can't really pull them up onto the screen, but what rookie am I rooting for this year the most? Um, that's a good question. What rookie am I rooting for the most? Right now, Jair Brown is my favorite rookie. I think Jair Brown, I really liked Jair Brown out of Penn State. Um, but if I had to root for a rookie, I probably have to say I'm rooting for Jake Moody because we need Jake Moody to be successful. We we need Jake Moody to be Legatron. We need him to be robotic. Um Obviously he's got big shoes to fill with Robbie Gould not re-signing. Um it's got to be Moody. We all got to be rooting for Moody, man. Like it's a high pressure position, man. It's a high pressure position. Obviously, we know what it is. They line up, they kick field goals, but it always comes in big time moments, big time pressure filled situations. Jake Moody for sure is a guy that I'm rooting for because Jake Moody is going to win. eh, Winning games is going to be on Moody's leg. We know it's going to happen. We know there's going to be close situations where it comes down to a kick at the end uh, to to get that win. And so my favorite rookie is definitely Jair Brown, but I'm probably rooting the hardest for right now um, is Jake Moody because we need it. We need Jake Moody to be successful, to come in and be lights out right away. And if Jake Moody can provide, uh, you know, the big leg kicking outside of 45 and do it consistently, that is going to be such a huge weapon for the 49ers to have because Robbie Gould was really good, but he was really good from like a certain distance in. And when he kind of got out past 50, you're just like, oh, you're kind of holding your breath a little bit. With Jake Moody, we know one of his best attributes is his strength in which he kicks that dang ball. So really looking forward to it, man. If he can be a guy that we rely on, that's going to be a big boost for the 49ers for sure. Um I seen some people hopping in asking for updates. I'll just do a quick recap. I know people are hopping in on Instagram, people are hopping in on YouTube and Facebook. Um, just a quick little recap of what we heard today. Brock Purdy fully cleared, ready to go. There will be a ramp up period, but no setbacks. Brock, I mean, we know that they have been really reluctant to really say much of anything about Brock. It's definitely been a wait and see process, but Brock Purdy is cleared for football activities. He will be cleared to start training camp, and that is obviously the best possible case scenario right now for the 49ers. We'll see what his involvement looks like throughout the first couple of days. But I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if like the big ramp up time frame for Brock Purdy is maybe joint practices against another team. The intensity is ratcheted up in joint practices, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a kind of smooth rollout that leads up to getting Brock like rocking and rolling in joint practices against the Raiders. But who knows? It could happen even before that. The fact that Brock Purdy completely avoided PUP is huge. Again, there was a big possibility that he could have landed on PUP, but he avoided it completely. So Brock Purdy, I would say, is ahead of schedule. He's ready to go. And the 49ers, I think, are going to get a big bump from that because, we know how they responded to him last year when he came in for the injured Jimmy Garoppolo. So Brock should be good to go. Nick Bosa, no contract has been completed just yet. They're obviously firmly in the middle of contract negotiations. It does sound like they're in that area where push comes to shove. One side is going to have to budge a little bit. Maybe both sides are going to have to budge a little bit in order to get this deal done. John Lynch referenced finding the sweet spot on both sides and just really trying to get in that spot where it works for both sides. And to be honest, um, I think for uh, Nick Bosa, as long as he's the highest paid defensive player in the NFL history, I should say, seems like a good starting point. Let's rip the band-aid off. I'm always going to be pro pay player. Um, without these players, the game doesn't exist. Without these players, we don't get the awesome moments. These players are out here putting their health and safety on the line day in, day out, trying to provide for their families. I am pro pay players. Get the most possible value at the highest possible value. Um, I'm for it at all times. I just think that's I know some fans get upset when players look to obtain big time contracts, and it might force them out. But at the end of the day, we gotta support these players, man. Without these players, this game that we talk about, that we love so much, doesn't exist. So I'm always for uh, players getting paid, and guys like Nick Bosa to kind of reset the market and continue to push the position forward. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's just a matter of time for Nick Bosa to get paid, and when he gets paid, it's gonna be a fun day for sure. We're gonna have some fun lives when Nick Bosa gets paid. So definitely looking forward to that. We did get two minor injury updates. Again, I'm just recapping for some that have joined. We got two minor injury updates: hyperextension to the knee for Darrell Luter Jr., fifth round cornerback out of South Alabama, and Mitch Wishnowsky landed on the NFI for like a back tweak that happened outside the building. So we'll see what repercussions come from the Mitch Wishnowsky situation. But I don't anticipate a whole lot. If you guys are watching on Instagram and you want to keep it rolling, feel free to jump over to my YouTube. I'm going to keep it rolling on YouTube for a little bit while longer. But I am going to hop off of Instagram right now. Like I said, we are on YouTube right now at the SF Niners. Feel free to hop on over. But good day to be a Niner fan. Let's go. All right, I don't need that. I'm going to discard that video. All right, we're out of here. Let me get this thing out the way. Let me just pull this off. So, what are the vibes, guys? What are we feeling? We feel good. Are some people still upset? How are we doing right now? What are the vibes like? Is this the ideal scenario for the 49ers heading into training camp right now? I mean, they seem pretty darn healthy right now. They seem pretty darn healthy. Man, I am super, super excited about all this stuff that we got cooking right now, man. Football's back, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy. Enjoy. Again, we're not calling it the quest for six anymore. At least I'm not calling it the quest for six anymore. Um, what did we call it? Six in the city? Is that what we called it? Six in the city? We're looking for six in the city. Uh, take six. Um, get the sixth. It's time. It's time to steal it. It's time to steal that thing. We're not playing around. And again, it kind of goes back to the mentality I was talking about earlier, man. Like the mentality's got to be right now for the San Francisco 49ers that like we can't allow the game happen to us. We got to take everything and attack everything that is in front of us. And I really think that the 49ers are going to do just that. I think, there's going to be ups and downs throughout the season. We know it's going to happen. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the 49ers, man, are going to be able to control their destiny better than really any other team in the NFL. They have an opportunity to just take hold of it all. And that's an exciting spot to be in. That's definitely exciting spot to be in. So this is how it goes. I will be at training camp tomorrow. I can't believe the time has already come that we have training camp, real football tomorrow. So schedule is going to be, I think practice starts at 10. So I live quite a ways away now. So I'll probably be on the road about 2 hours early. I'm, of course, going to be posting content from training camp. Probably try to go live. We'll see. I'm definitely going live to discuss everything that happens on training camp at training camp. I'll probably produce a recap video of everything that happened and post that shortly after. But I can't believe it. I'm going to be around 49ers football tomorrow. What an off season, ladies and gentlemen. What an off season. We made it. We've made it. Whew. Brock Purdy's good. Trey Lance is good. Let's go. Let's go. Football's back. Football's back. Appreciate all you guys as always for rocking with the channel all off season long. We've definitely had some dog days. Definitely had some dog days in this place, but we've made it through. You already know the vibes. Chili, do I want to join the league? Honestly, Chili, I'm in like 10 dynasty leagues right now. I don't know if I can join another. But if you got an opening, snag one of the other SDS guys. Grab your cookies on the way out. We made it. We made it. It's got to be our year. I'm definitely tired of coming up short. We're all tired of coming up short. For sure. So, with all that being said, shout out to SDS. Shout out to Sourdough Squad. What a time to be alive. We made it. Training camp starts tomorrow. Woo, we got real football to talk about. Real football to talk about. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you got those post notifications on because we're going to be spitting out content as best we can. Sights and sounds from training camp starting tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here for now. I might come back live just to vibe. We'll see. It's that time of the year. But appreciate you guys. I'm out of here for now. Shout out to everyone who sent a super chat. Y'all the best. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see